Welcome back to the Browns preview show on the Barbershop Network. G. Bush, and of course, we have John Costco, Pro Football Focus. John, what's good, man?
It's another week, another Browns win. You can't complain about a win, no matter how it looks. Onto the Chargers.
Yeah, that was a great coach speak. We'll look at the tape. We'll look at for some corrections, and we'll move on to the Chargers. Good football team present a good opportunity for us.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's exactly right. You got to fix some issues in that game and go on to the next opponent.
Well, let's go ahead and unpack some of that stuff about things we did well, things we need to work on, and let's talk about what we saw and what worked well for the Cleveland Browns. We've been talking about it since, we talked about and yelled at Joe Woods, mainly more me, kind of vocally, kind of crazy on Twitter. The defense has now looked like, I don't know, the second coming of the Baltimore Ravens, 2000 Ravens, Buccaneers in 01-02. I mean, this defense has looked potent. It has pretty much carried the Browns in the last 2 weeks, 14-7, allowing only 7 points after the first drive. And I'll tell you what, this defense looks amazing. How has Joe Woods been able to turn it around and go from a team giving up a bunch of yards to pedestrian quarterbacks to now teams are scrambling to find an answer to what they're doing?
Part of it is that you kind of get a better feel for what your team can do. I know that, you want to be able to blitz more, or you just want to get pressure on, you want to disrupt what the quarterback is doing. But sometimes, first game, you didn't have Grant Delpit out there. You didn't, and then you lost Ronnie Harrison on the fifth play of the game or whatever it was. So you really weren't able to run the packages that you probably wanted, and you're not going to put too much on Joe K's plate because it's his very first game as a rookie. So it takes time for these things to kind of mesh out. I really kind of thought it would take 4 games at least for them to really gel together. And it obviously happened a lot faster. And, last week against the Bears and this week against the Vikings, they played a lot more cover 1 in this game. And typically what they've shown is to be a quarters and cover 3 heavy team where they mix it up from those 2 coverages, and they try to show things pre-snap to post-snap differently, where you don't know which one they're going to be in. And so you have to attack from an offensive standpoint, how to attack those differently. And the quarterbacks are getting confused. And then on top of it, this pass rush is just going off. So Myles Garrett in this game had 9 total pressures. Clowney had 7. Malik Jackson had 5. Denzel Ward even had 2. Tack McKinley had 3. So Malik McDowell had 4. So you're basically getting pressure almost. I mean, they got it on about 55% of their pass plays. And so when you do that, when you put a quarterback under pressure, pretty much like over 40% is when they start feeling phantom pressure, so that even when they have a clean pocket, it feels like to them that the pocket is actually under pressure, and they start panicking and not playing well, even when from a clean pocket.
You saw me do a bravo chant right there while you was talking, bringing in cover 1, more cover 1. I wanted to see some of these guys play man-to-man coverage, because to me, that's what these guys' forte is. I don't know what the grades speak in terms of Denzel Ward or Greedy Williams or how they're performing versus zone versus man. But one of the things that you can do when you're playing man coverage is it doesn't give quarterbacks clean reads, especially under pressure. You're forced to kind of throw the ball, anticipate a little bit more. And I like the fact that they're playing more cover 1. Another thing that I really like the fact is they're moving Myles Garrett. I mean, I'm seeing Myles Garrett around. He's playing 3 technique on third down. Jadeveon Clowney standing up. Tack McKinley's lining up. They're doing so many different things as far as giving offensive linemen different looks and moving those guys around. And you kind of see the athleticism and the chaos and carnage that they cause. Kirk Cousins, 74% of his passes. They got 2 great receivers. It was like people thought you couldn't go after him. And I think the Browns were creative in the way they went after him. It wasn't just blitzes. You talked about the corner blitzes. You talked about Delpit bringing some heat, linebackers, and then, of course, you got it from your defensive ends. So I really believe this is not an aberration. I think this is something they can sustain moving forward. We talked about the defense. The defense has come along and really propelled the Browns to victories over the Bears and the Vikings. Offense, though, struggling. And I think that would be, would be actually kind to say struggling. For me, I didn't really love the game plan Coach Stefanski had against the Vikings. I didn't love it, but there were some things that were a little strange. I also, and I think one of the biggest factors is trying to figure out, what's the deal with Baker Mayfield? Like what's going on with him? I put something on Twitter showing he's talking to D.D. Westbrook after the game, and he's saying, kind of pointing to his shoulder. And people are like, yeah, we've been saying that his shoulder's hurt. Now, granted, this is non-throwing shoulder. And if you talk to people, and Mary Kay Cabot, and she, she was posed with this question, beat reporter for Cleveland.com, and she says, I don't think it is affecting him. I just think that, he has to play better. Maybe it's his mechanics. Maybe it's I don't know whether or not he's not throwing the ball with confidence. There's a lot of people he missed in this game, and there's a whole lot of memes going around in social media. What are you seeing with Baker, and what do you attribute to why he was so he threw the ball so poorly against the Vikings?
Yeah, so the first thing that you talked about was Kevin Stefanski and his game plan. If Baker can throw the ball accurately, this game's a blowout, and Stefanski looks like a genius with his play calling. I like what he was doing, and then essentially when you have a quarterback that can't hit the broadside of the barn, you are then handcuffed at what you can call. Like Stefanski's calling, having to do run because it's like, man, if I sit here and go pass on first down, like I don't think Baker's going to make this throw, so what do I got to do? I have to run the ball to my my two running backs there. So he had to run it 37 times. So when you have a quarterback like that that's just not completing passes, you have to figure out a way to move the ball down the field. And I think he had to adjust and did that. Now with Baker in his career, when OBJ is not playing in that game, is a 90.7. He is an elite level graded quarterback when OBJ doesn't play. And when OBJ plays, he's down in the 60s. He's a replacement level type player. The reason I think that this happens is because OBJ is the cool kid at school or at the club or whatever. And he so badly wants to be friends with OBJ that he tries so hard that he starts aiming his throws. It's essentially what it is. He tries so hard to impress the cool kid at school, in the playground, or whatever it is at recess, and he makes a fool of himself in dramatic fashion, looks in this, trying to, hey, look at me. And then he, makes a big scene and falls and, hurts himself. And now all the kids laugh at him. Right. And essentially he starts aiming his throws. It's like, I gotta make up for this now. Basically just like a pitcher in baseball. You can't aim. You have to throw your strikes. You're not an aiming type guy. So for whatever reason, has some type of mental block in his head that he can't play with OBJ. Like I think to me, it's clear, it's obvious. It's that it's not an OBJ issue. It's a Baker Mayfield issue. Now, do you want it to work with both of them where Baker like pulls his head out of his ass and actually starts playing better? Absolutely. Because all game long, OBJ is getting open. He was wide open all game long, and Baker couldn't hit him. And he couldn't hit a lot of players. The sack he took where Demetric Felton was wide open in the flats,
that's unacceptable.
He never saw him because he was only staring at OBJ the entire time. He was staring at him. And then the OBJ was double covered. And he's like, okay, I'm going to try to scramble for this. And all he has to do is dump it off.
I kind of actually buy a little bit into what you're saying as you go along and you preface it, right? I compare it to the LeBron James syndrome. LeBron, in 2014, he came back and played for the Cavs. Everybody else on that team, Tristan Thompson, Kyrie Irving, Deion Waiters, some of those guys are young guys, and they're just like, oh, yeah, man, like, we're going to be great. And then he gets there and they figure out, oh, there's expectation. We're going to play a team and they're going to get our best shot every night. Oh, so I got to play defense too? So in press conference, I have to say the right thing. I got to make the right basketball play. It is levels. It's different. And that's why it's so difficult for people to play with LeBron James. It's because it's the gravity of it. Like certain
the
people,
pressure of the moment. It's an absolute pressure thing. And you don't need to play quarterback like that. It's a pressure that he puts on himself, and he fails to live up to it or whatever. And all he has to do is play football. That's all he has to do. And he can do it because there's no reason for him to be able to just not be able to hit wide open wide receivers.
For us to beat the teams that we want to beat, we need people like that are on the outside that are like OBJ. So if I'm saying that I need to remove assets for the most important position, on the field to play better. That's why they do these evaluations. That's why they do the training camps. And when you go to the combine, they ask you this question. They make you do the Wonderlic. It's not whether or not you can throw the football. All those guys can throw the football. But up here, do you understand or have it? Can you come in when they say, are you a leader of men? It's not about whether who make the most money or got the most commercials. It's, am I the same here as I am outside? Am I the same dude on 3rd and 10 or 4th and 10, or whether we playing a contender or not? So he has to be able at some point to say, look, man, I don't know what it is, but I got to get it together if I want to be a $40 million man.
He absolutely has to. I mean, so the thing is too, right? So if you want to become a Super Bowl contender this year, one of two things has to happen, right? Baker has to get it figured out with OBJ, meaning probably Kevin Stefanski has to figure out how to like calm down Baker Mayfield or just kind of get him in the right mindset. Or you trade OBJ, because if there's no quarterback, you're never going to move on from a quarterback and become a Super Bowl contender in the NFL, right? So it's either the things just keep going crappily, and Baker continues to suck as a quarterback with OBJ out there, and the season's basically lost because you can't win a Super Bowl when your quarterback plays like that. And or you ride it out into the offseason, you realize Baker's not the guy. Granted, if he can't play with a guy like OBJ, he probably, you're kind of thinking, all right, maybe long-term he isn't the guy. But the thing is, like, when OBJ is not out there, he plays at an elite level in his career. He has. We saw it as a rookie. We saw it when the second OBJ went down last year, Baker Mayfield turned into a completely different quarterback and completed something like 22 straight passes and played like the best game he's ever played in his life when OBJ went out. To me, it's not a coincidence. That is the factor. And you remove that ability, that guy. I mean, you could probably bring in a Stephon Diggs type guy and Baker Mayfield's going to be fine. It's basically OBJ and that type of persona of him being that mega superstar guy, because he does bring that with him. He is that mega type superstar, right? That's who he is. He brought it. You catch that one-handed catch that you do in New York, and you build your brand, and he built his brand. And Baker wants to be on that level. So like, oh, that guy's there, and he can't do it psychologically for whatever reason. And if you can have a quarterback that can play at an elite level without that guy, and you can bring in a guy that's, I mean, there's lots of guys in the NFL. There's a dozen guys in the NFL that are just as good as OBJ. So,
I think for me, it boils down to this. I'm a big dude on accountability. I'm huge. I mean, they preach it all the time, and you go in these locker rooms, you play, they preach. Oh, you make sure you do the right stuff. Make sure that you do your job. We need 11 people doing their job. Don't do too much. They preach it since you're this high. At some point in time, I have to say to, Baker Mayfield, look, man, if you gonna be that dude, you have to hit open receivers.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's no way we can manipulate our roster. I mean, we talk about finances, we talk about team chemistry, we talk about locker room. Yeah, think about it. Like, that's a hard sell to go to people in the team and say, we got rid of OBJ because Baker couldn't hit an open guy because he was nervous.
What's easier to do as a team, right? Do you find a new franchise quarterback? I mean, we saw how difficult it was to find a franchise quarterback in Cleveland for 20 plus years. Like, you finally get a guy that can actually win you games now. Or do you cut the one variable that we know is the thing that's an issue for that quarterback, and then he can play at an elite level?
I think it's a catch-22. It's for me. I've told people, and this is the hard part to swallow, Baker Mayfield has not played bad enough to go look for another quarterback. And I think
he definitely hasn't.
So one of the things that I think the Browns and a lot of people are up against is, you're looking at a guy and you're saying, we know what the alternative is. We know what the other side looks like. If you have to go back and find another dude, it's over. It's done. because you talk about salary cap ramifications. You talk about, you're going back, you're trying to find another quarterback. He goes through 2 years of growing pains. You lose a coach. Now you talk about he ain't been in the system the same time. It's just, you're done. OBJ's gone. Jarvis Landry's gone. Denzel Ward might be gone. You are now right back where you started if you say he's not the dude, because that's your alternative. And we're going to get to John Costco's PFF grades. We'll talk about the best 3 grades for the Cleveland Browns, which you saw those guys, which you liked. And then also we will come back, and on the other side, we will start breaking down what's going on this week against the Chargers. It's G. Bush, it's John Costco on the Browns Preview Show on the Barbershop Network. Costco's PFF grades are brought to you by BetUS.com. Bet with the 3-decade leader, BetUSA.com. Join now for 125% bonus or 200% bonus with crypto. Use the promo code BARBERSHOP and bet sports, casinos, horses, pop culture, and more at BetUS.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.
BetUS has been serving clients for 25 plus years and prides itself on being known as America's favorite sportsbook. With action on every sport across the world, we can pretty much guarantee that we've got your game. BetUS offers the industry's biggest retail bonus to keep our players betting longer. The BetUS loyalty program is legendary. We keep our players up to date with articles, players, teams, stats, and trends, giving you the right tools to make the best wagering decisions.
Make sure you guys check out BetUS.com and use the promo code BARBERSHOP. BetUS.com. Welcome back to the Browns Preview Show on the Barbershop Network. G. Bush, John Costco. We just unpacked the game against the Vikings. Let's talk about some of the highest graded guys in this segment. Myles Garrett, 90.2. You look at Greedy Williams. Greedy makes the list at an 86.4, and Joe Bitonio a 90.9 at guard. Talk a little bit about these guys, what they brought to the table, and I want to start with one Greedy Williams. Man, clap it up for Greedy Williams. He looks like he wants to be somebody with his life. Greedy Williams stepped up. Newsome is out. What did you like from Greedy Williams, and why did he grade out so high?
The interception was a huge interception. So, I mean, that's part of it. He gave up only 4 catches in this game. Just didn't give up a lot of yards. You get that interception, the first interception of the year, first turnover of the year for the Cleveland Browns defense, which is crazy, that the fact that they haven't turned the ball over up until that point, from a defensive standpoint, and how good this defense was last week and this week. So, he was lights out. His grade of an 86.4, coverage grade of an 87. Didn't miss a tackle, which was huge. So, kudos to him. You got Myles Garrett, had 9 total pressures in this game. We know he had the sack, but they also had 3 hits, 5 hurries. Didn't miss a tackle, and was solid. Just a solid overall game from him. Run game. Good there. And then you look at Joel Bitonio. Joel Bitonio is quietly playing as, has the number 2 grade overall in all of the NFL as a guard behind Zach Martin. And his grade in this game was a 90.9. His pass protection was a little down in this game. It wasn't perfect, but he was excellent in the run game with a monster grade there of a 90 plus. So he's getting it done in the run game. When this offensive line wasn't at their best, I would say, in this game. He's kind of anchoring this offensive line week in, week out.
Let's take a look right now around the AFC North. Check out some of your top plays, some of the scoreboards. Look at the standings in the AFC North. We'll be right back. It's G. Bush, John Costco on the Browns Preview Show on the Barbershop Network. Around the AFC North is brought to you by Manscaped. Who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming? Champions of the world, Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family and your jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawn Mower 4. And I'm going to tell you what, this is freaking awesome, guys. Listen, this thing is sleek. This thing is cool. It runs very efficiently. And best of all, it does not cut you where you're most sensitive at. Don't get yourself twisted. This is the barbershop. I would not tell you about something that don't clean you up right. You're going to get the Lawnmower 4. You heard that right. The 4 and you can join over 2 million people worldwide who trust Manscaped with the exclusive offers for you today: 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code BARBERSHOP at manscaped.com.
Imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed, and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom. Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredibly comfortable grooming experience. Their 4th-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. It even allows you to customize your trim through additional guard lengths. Man, if you've been shaving with the same nut trimmer on your face, you've been doing it wrong.
Don't do that, man.
Don't do that. You could do it with your face, but if you don't want to mix and match there, so
I'll tell you what,
get yourself a new one.
I will tell you what, one of the things we talk about all the time is with these kind of trimmers and stuff is the cut. I thought, you're kind of apprehensive because I've cut myself before and it hurts whether it's on your face, but it really hurts down there. Also, they do a really good job of coming out with other different products. Right now, this is the crop preserver. If you use deodorant under your arms, why not use deodorant down there? This is clean, it feels effective, and it gives off no residue. That's what we're looking for when you're a big guy as well. And they have a handy dandy spray, which really help you out as well. This is the Crop Reviver. Keeps you down there, keeps everything smooth and ready to go. And trust me, the significant other will like it. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code BARBERSHOP at manscaped.com. The 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped, and use the code word BARBERSHOP. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Welcome back to the Browns Preview Show on the Barbershop Network. G. Bush, John Costco in the building. Let's turn the page on last week, and the Browns have a tough task coming up here against the Los Angeles Chargers. So let's go ahead and go behind enemy lines. This week, I like the matchups, man. Like the 2 matchups. You got Baker Mayfield. You got Justin Herbert. Baker Mayfield setting the record for touchdowns for a rookie. Justin Herbert comes in and breaks that record, showing a lot of potential, surprising a lot of people because I didn't think he was going to play this well in his career. But he's showing that he's one of the guys that's up and coming, that's moving up those ranks. Also, we got a great comparison with Joey Bosa and Myles Garrett, 2 of the most elite pass rushers in the game right now. Let's start with the quarterback comparison, Baker versus Justin Herbert. What do you see in that comparison, and who do you think has an advantage going into this game in terms of what they can do?
Well, I mean, the advantage goes to Justin Herbert right now because he's playing at an extremely high level. He's our 4th highest graded quarterback in the NFL. He's playing extremely well from a clean pocket. He has a grade there of a 90.5 when he's a clean pocket. And then he also does really well when he's under pressure. And I say he does really well under pressure, and I'm going to say he has a 66.6 grade there. But that is, I mean, essentially when you're under pressure, your grades just kind of tank there a bit. So he has a 9th best grade under pressure this year from in the NFL. So, and he generally just avoids negative throws, and he's really good going through a clean pocket. He's good and early down. He's good on 3rd downs. He's good outside the pocket. So he does he does this a lot of things well right now, and he's playing at an extremely high level, which, like, I agree with you. I didn't see him playing at this type of a level, especially early on. He has the talent. We know that the arm strength and just the pure raw tools that he had, but for him to put it all together like this so quickly is really impressive. You look at Baker Mayfield. If you're talking about Baker Mayfield of weeks, 7 through the rest of the season, then I'm saying Baker Mayfield has the advantage here because we saw what type of a player he was. And if he can play like that, then I would say that you got Baker Mayfield with just a slight advantage. But based on what we've seen the past 2 weeks from Baker Mayfield, I mean, you've got to give the advantage there to Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I agree at this point. I understand everything's week to week. Right now, to me, I would, Baker is one of those guys that he scares a lot of people, but he scares a lot of opponents. Baker to me is the quintessential streaky performer. He's the guy that if he gets hot, I mean, he's hitting everything. He's 25 or 27. He's dropping dimes, putting the ball where nobody can get it. But his lows are very low. Like if he's low and he's not seeing the field correctly, his mechanics aren't right, he can be performing at a very low level. And I think for Kevin Stefanski, I think one of his challenges is just moving his floor up. Like if you can move his floor from I can't hit the broadside of a barn to I can, maybe I can't hit the deep throws consistently, but I'm going to hurt you intermediate game. When you look at it from a perspective of the Chargers, how do you like Keenan Allen, Mike Williams as a tandem? We had Thielen, we had Jefferson last week. I had a chance to watch Austin Eckler a lot. I like his burst. He can catch the football. What are some of the things that are presented that could be a problem for the Cleveland Browns when you look at the skill positions of the Chargers?
Yeah, I think everybody kind of knows about Mike Williams and what he did the first 3 weeks of the season, where he just had these monster games where they were just force feeding him targets, and he was, really kind of this wrecking defensive backs. I think he has started to show that, like, the reason why he was drafted in the top 10 out of Clemson. So I think he's a big bodied receiver that's going to win on a lot of contested type catches. But he's not going to wow you with his route running, prowess or anything like that. That's definitely what Keenan Allen is, top 5 route runner in the NFL. He's gonna make his payday on underneath shorter routes, intermediate type routes, and he's going to get open. And I would say from a, if you compare the Vikings offense to the Chargers offense, I think I like the skill talent just a little bit better with the Vikings, but it's not that much of a difference in terms of just the, what these guys can do. I think the offensive line is not great. They have they have their first round pick that they got to Rashawn Slater, who's a really good player, and Corey Linsley's a really good player, but the rest of that offensive line has its issues. Storm Norton at the right tackle position is not very good at all. And so I think what they can do is they can get pressure on him, and hopefully you can disrupt what he's doing.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the Browns defensive line over their offensive line.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think if especially if they can generate pressure like they've been doing with getting pressure before, man, that's because now you got people playing in the back end that can man up and blanket. You can bracket coverage. You can do a lot of stuff, a lot of cute little stuff. If you can get pressure before, every defensive coordinator looks like Buddy Ryan or some sort of genius when it comes to defense. If you can get pressure before, you got your Joey Bosa and you got Myles Garrett, 2 dominant pass rushers in the league right now. And to me, I think Joey Bosa has more moves. He's more of a technician. He's more of a guy that uses his hands very well. I think he has counter moves. I think he's just super solid, consistent every single game, and he has more tools in his bag. But for me, Myles Garrett is just he's more of a freak of nature. I mean, he's able to, that explosion, run the hoops, get low, dip, rip. You can't run away from him. That's how his leverage is so great. How do you see these two guys, and who do you see making a bigger impact in this game?
Talking about grades, they are, number 3 is Joey Bosa, number 4 is Myles Garrett. In overall, well, actually it's 2 and 3. Sorry, because DeMarcus Lawrence has only played 43 snaps this year, so they're 2 and 3 in overall grades from a pass rusher, and they they both, like you said, I agree with you. Joey Bosa is the technician, and he has really good get off and power. Whereas Myles Garrett is not so much of a toolsy guy. He's going to beat you with his athleticism, and his this pure mutant ability that he has, because he is a freak of nature. And I think what you're probably going to see is Myles Garrett probably be more effective in terms of just impacting this game, mainly because I think the Browns offensive line is just better than the Chargers offensive line. And what you do with Myles Garrett is they move him around a little bit more than what they do with Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa is typically used up on the left, the right offensive, left defensive edge. And he's just going to rush from there. So you know where he's going to be generally every single play.
This is going to be a game for me that, once again, you get an opportunity to see how good the Cleveland Browns can be, or what they are, because any team going out there and as a contender, they're not going to blow people out. It comes down to a couple plays here, a couple plays there. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but all that matters is, did you get the dub? Did you get that win? Because if you get a win, it always feels better for you to go into the week and work on stuff. I ain't got no problem if y'all gonna win and Baker Mayfield and Stefanski go back to the drawing board and they figure out what we need to do in this passing game to make it more effective. And at least you live to fight another day while you're gaining these wins. What do the Browns need to do well in this game?
Baker's got to be accurate. That's just plain and simple. He's got to be able to throw the ball accurately, get it to the open guys, because Kevin Stefanski's going to be able to scheme these guys open. And then what you got to be able to do is you got to be able to run the football against this team. So one of the things that the Chargers will do in Brandon Staley's defense is that they will typically play nickel packages even against heavier sets, and say, hey, we're going to be able to stop you in the run game this way, and that we can also match you in the pass game when you are in your heavier set. So they've got to be able to run the ball and be able to matriculate the ball down the field, and you've got to be able to have Baker to be accurate when they aren't running the ball. From a defensive standpoint, you've got to get pressure on Justin Herbert to make him, and also switch things up in the secondary where he doesn't know specifically what he's going to be looking at. I think,
hey, it's all about switching it up. You'll be surprised how difficult it is to read and react on the run, adjusting from point A to point B and doing it on the fly. Let's get to our X factors of the game. And let me go ahead and start with the offensive side of the football. X factor for me, I'm just go with Odell Beckham Jr. Leadership can come in a lot of different forms. If I was Odell Beckham Jr., I go to Baker and say, look, man, hey, calm down. Play your game, bro. We good. Just play your game. I ain't tripping. Like, look, if I get the rock, cool. If I don't get the rock, cool. I know, listen, I got confidence in you, man. If you make a bad throw here or there, don't feel no pressure. Hey, we're going to get together before practice, after practice. We're going to get it together. And I need you to be comfortable with the mix. So I think that's an X factor of the game. Malik Jackson showed me something the last game. I watched a lot of different plays where it was the fact that Malik Jackson was pushing the pocket from the middle of the field. I like that. I love the fact. See, when you get pushed in the middle of the field, you ain't know where you can go. Because there's somebody in your face right now. And when you try to escape out of the pocket, and Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett are actually having gap assignments and gap integrity, it works like a charm because you can't run anywhere. They're there. So you saw Kirk Cousins moving around, and every time he would move and slide, it was another guy waiting for him.
But I think the X factor in this game could be Anthony Schwartz, because you can get open deep on this team. And if he can get open deep and have a couple of those big shot plays, and they're able to protect Baker and he's able to hit them. On the defensive side of things, I'm going to go with Grant Delpit in this game. Was flying around the field in the game against the Vikings, had a pass breakup, and it's just generally like a bullet out there of when he plays. I think he needs to make a couple of big plays in this game. He's going to have to tackle Austin Eckler. He's going to have to probably cover Keenan Allen a few times in the slot, and he's going to need to be able to do that and lock those guys down, and break up a couple of passes over the middle.
Well, listen, I couldn't agree more. He had that nice pass breakup where he was diving. I seen a little clip where he blew the full back up, allowed Malcolm Smith to come make a tackle. Overall, I just think he plays really fast. So let's get to our predictions of the game. This game is another opportunity for the Browns, no matter what it looks like, to go 4-1. And I always laugh and joke with people all the time. If the Browns get to the end of the season, nobody remembers certain games. Like, nobody will look back, and if the Browns are in contention to have home field position all throughout the playoffs, nobody goes back and says, but remember how bad did they played against the Vikings in week. No one remembers that.
I go back every single time to the fact that they got boat raced against the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 6 last year.
Yeah, it was bad. It was crazy.
It was bad, but their season turned around after that.
And they lost to the Jets, who won like 2 games. Right?
That was COVID crap.
It was a COVID L. But then you had the anomalies of the terrible weather against Philadelphia, garbage weather against Oakland. So we couldn't even throw the ball those 2 games. Like that, we didn't name 5 games right now that are just so forgettable. If you can come into a game like this against the Chargers, Odell Beckham comes out and plays well. If the running game looks like it's back to the peak performance, and it looks like Baker Mayfield can complete passes again, it's funny how things change in people's minds. Because if you come out here and put a whooping on the Chargers, now everybody's like, whoa, okay, the Browns is quietly 4-1 and doing some things, and they shouldn't even have lost to the Chiefs. Now all of a sudden the narrative is we should be undefeated right now. So is this game an opportunity they can win? Yes, they can. I actually got the Browns winning this game, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. I got the Browns winning this game kind of by like 10 points. Like I really think that Kevin Stefanski will have a new set of focus. So I got them winning the game. I'm gonna say 27-17 Cleveland Browns win. Big game on the road. What do you got?
Man, you're just taking it away from me. That was going to be my prediction. 27-17.
I mean, you can have the same prediction.
I'm not even joking.
We can be on the same page on something.
I know,
we
right?
can agree and we can disagree. See how that works? It's a novel thought.
This is something I think that, like, I think Baker Mayfield's going to have a bounce back game. Last year against the Ravens, he had a 55.8 pass grade, and followed that up with a 74, where basically if he doesn't throw that last, interception with the last throw of the game, he's an 87 type, in that range or whatever. So I think Baker's going to come out. He's going to be fine in this game. He's going to quiet the narrative for at least a week. And you're going to have to hope that, hey, he's got it figured out. He's be more consistent. He's going to, his accuracy is going to come back to him. So I think that's what we're going to see from this offense, that they're going to be efficient. They're going to be back to what they did. I think this defense that the Chargers presents is really good, but they're not perfect, and I think that that from a grade standpoint, they don't really stack up anywhere close to what the Browns can offer. Think about it from a grade overall standpoint. The Browns are the number 1 team overall grade in the NFL. Even the offense so far this year is number 4. And that's with Baker Mayfield not playing well the past couple of weeks. The Browns just have a better overall team. And if Baker Mayfield can just be accurate with the ball, they should be able to win this game.
Even though they struggled a little bit, the Browns still are one of the elite teams in the NFL, no doubt. First of all, we want to say before we get out of here, thank you guys for making the Browns preview show part of your weekly routine. Thank you for watching the show, checking us out every Wednesday. We got over 8,000 so far last week. And, like we said, we pushing. I told Costco, I said, one day we're going to wake up and see that 10,000. Please like and subscribe to the channel and continue to support our content. You're listening to the Browns preview show on the Barbershop Network. Catch you guys next time.